9.5 using a common denominator in order to find a limit. If you'll notice this problem, it is a complex fraction, which simply means you've got a big fraction, and in that big fraction you've got fractions. So it's fractions in a fraction. That's what makes a complex fraction. Seems to make sense to me. So if we're looking at this limit, anytime with a limit, the very first thing you should do is to put the number in there. Direct substitution, just find out if you can come up with an answer. May not need to do anything with it. Of course, that wouldn't fit for this because I'm going to teach you a lesson on common denominator, but we're going to test it out anyways. So if I put a -4 in there, -4 plus 6 is 2. So I end up with 1/2 minus 1/2. Well, that's 0. If I put a -4 in the denominator, -4 plus 4, that's 0. When you come up with a fraction that is 0 over 0, that's no bueno, meaning not good. That's indeterminate. We can't really determine anything from a 0 over a 0. So we are going to have to do a little magic here, a little math magic, by finding a common denominator for this quotient. We're just going to really focus on the numerator here and finding its common denominator. I've got two fractions, and whether you know it or not, there's not a thing I can just multiply this by and turn it into a 2. There's not anything I can just multiply this 2 times and turn it into an x plus 6. Easiest way to find a common denominator is to just multiply the opposite or the other fraction by the denominator of this fraction. So if I'm doing that, I'm going to multiply the first fraction times 2 over 2. That way I'm multiplying it times 1. I'm not changing its value because I'm multiplying it times 1. This second fraction I'm going to multiply by x plus 6 over x plus 6. That's a multiplication factor of 1. When I do that, the first fraction becomes 2 over, I'm not even going to bother to distribute it, I'm just going to put 2 and in parentheses x plus 6. I've got a minus in between. Now I'm going to multiply the 1/2 times this x plus 6 over x plus 6. That gives me an x plus 6 in the numerator in parentheses. Mentioned that in an earlier video. It's always a good habit to put these binomials in parentheses. In my denominator, check it out, a matching common denominator with the first fraction of 2 and an x plus 6. All of that remains over x plus 4. We'll deal with that denominator later. Let's go on and figure out what we've got in the numerator. Well, I've got a 2, and now I'm going to distribute this negative to the binomial. If I do that, I end up with a negative x and a negative 6 over the common denominator of 2 parentheses x plus 6. All of that over x plus 4.
Oh, Miss Bentley, that looks so crazy.
Not to worry, we'll figure this out. So we look at the numerator here. I'm going to combine like terms, simplify that little puppy out. Put my variable first. I've got a negative x and a 2 minus 6. I've got a minus 4 over 2 parentheses x plus 6 over x plus 4. I'm not sure. Doesn't look like anything's going to cancel. No, you can't just pick out these x's and cancel them, and no, you can't just pick out those 4's and cancel them. It's illegal in all 50 states. Actually, in every country around the world. So I'm going to bring this down so we can see it a little bit more clearly. Negative x minus 4 over 2 parentheses x plus 6 over x plus 4. Well, what I do recognize about this numerator and this on the very bottom, they are similar, and actually they're exact opposites. That's a good thing. So I can change this denominator to x plus 4 over 1. Let's go back to probably middle school, hopefully. You learned the rule that if you divide by a fraction, you can multiply by its reciprocal. So I'm going to take this fraction and multiply by its reciprocal, which becomes 1 over x plus 4. Now that's a goner. Again, all of this is a limit, and we're just following our trail, and at the end we'll use the limit. Well, I would like to think I could cancel those out, but like I said, they're not the same, but they are opposites. So what I can do with this numerator over here is factor. I'm dividing both of those
by -1. If I divide negative x by -1, I end up with positive x. Yay! If I divide negative 4 by -1, I end up with positive 4. Bigger yay! Now I see something that looks familiar. Here's what I've got. A -1 here. This x plus 4 is in the numerator. This plus x plus 4 denominator. Those now can cancel. One in the numerator, one in the denominator. They're going to cancel. So what do I have left in my numerator? Well, I've got a -1 times a 1. That's -1. What's left in my denominator? A 2 parentheses x plus 6. Now I'm going to look at the fact that this is the limit as x is approaching -4. -1, a 2. Now I'm going to put in the -4. -4 plus 6 is positive 2. So I end up with a -1 over 2 times 2, which is 4. Therefore, the limit is -1/4.